Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. It's me here again, Moritz from MV Rugby, your usual host. And yeah, today we're basically talking about the URC starting off the playoffs. Round, I think, 14 basically concluded last weekend. And action-packed. That's all I can say about it. I mean, really, from the Sharks versus Edinburgh right through to the Lions versus Benetton. Um, Brilliant performances, some not so great performances, really, from the local teams. Some surprising performances that we didn't quite expect over there. But yeah, all in all, very good weekend for rugby it was. And yeah, without any further ado, let's go into it. Okay, so today we're starting off with the Sharks versus Edinburgh game, and when you say action-packed, I think it all basically came down to this one. Uh, no love lost between these two teams. Honestly, it all kind of went well. Sharks did struggle a bit in the first half, trying to mount worthwhile attacks while still keeping their defensive play quite strong. Not really letting Edinburgh through that much, and it paid off. It really did pay off in the end. But around about the second half, I think it was just sort of due to illegal play. I think not quite sure what exactly happened, but Lucanio was sent off with a yellow card. And shortly after that, obviously. Sharks on the back foot, so really, tightening the bolts on the defensive line and just wouldn't let Edinburgh through. So it was a hard fight for the Edinburgh boys. Why can't I get the name out now for some reason? Yeah, but it did kind of, sort of result in a few more penalties for Edinburgh. They still tried to go for the pick and goes, couldn't get it through. Until I think it was Eben Etzebeth managed to get the ball out, started running with it, whistle blew, and he kind of still carried on with the run, not quite ready to kind of stop the play instantly, and it pushed off I think Skinner it was, and then Skinner grabbed him by the chest, and this kind of just ignited a fuse. They kind of exploded. Eben grabbed him by the front of the shirt and then with one arm flung him onto the ground. This is Skinner, of course. And it looked like kind of opened the floodgates. Everything just kind of exploded into a huge tug of war there. But it was, yeah, yellow cards all round, almost. It's like just the same with the Benetton Lions game. Except this is for after that tug of war, I mean, it's almost exactly literally like a minute or two after Lucanio was sent off for 10 minutes. Both Eben and Skinner was sent off for 10 minutes. So it was just like an Oprah show, like yellow card for you, everybody gets a yellow card, yeah. It was nuts. It was just absolutely mad. Yeah, Edinburgh spent about 67% of the game in the lead, and then in the second half, Sharks started clawing back really hard, winning about 52% of the ball possession in the last 10 minutes of the game, which resulted in Mapipi scoring an absolute brilliant try, sort of right up to the last minute. Unconverted, unfortunately, which left the Sharks with only a 1-point victory over the Edinburgh, and these guys did not like that. I mean, the tensions was you could cut it with a knife. Even after the game has done, I mean, it was finished. The final whistle had blown. These guys were still going on at it. Even when they were like supposed, okay, well, shaking hands, call it quits, it's like really congratulating everybody. It's like really tough game, nice game played, well played, that sort of thing. These guys were still exchanging words, and they were still kind of goading one another, trying to go after each other. I mean, I think the Edinburgh coaching staff had more of a heavy time trying to keep these guys apart. I think it was, I can't remember who exactly it was, who had kind of a bit of a word with the Edinburgh player. And then the Edinburgh player kind of, still shot back. Even when Skinner and Eben went off, there was still being words exchanged between these two guys. I mean, they just wouldn't leave each other alone. So it was all kind of, hell broke loose over there. But it was a tenacious drive by the Sharks that won them the day. They really fought hard to get back into the game around about the second half. First half saw them kind of fall behind quite severely, but they did claw back quite hard, like I said. And with a brilliant try by Lukanya right sort of on the the last minute, within the 80th minute of the game, did go a bit into overtime, and they kind of pulled it off. It was just absolutely brilliant. 12 Springboks in that team, and the one thing I took away from it is just like you didn't expect the Sharks to be the Springbok players to be dominated so hard by Edinburgh, because they literally did. I mean, 76% of the game was spent by Edinburgh in the lead. So that's up to about the 65th minute of the game. So it was a hard game for the guys, and I really didn't expect these Edinburgh to kind of give us such a hard time, especially with 12 Springboks in the team, including Eben, including Siya Kolisi. Siya was on top form. Most of these guys were, but again, the fight was hard. They tried to go for more of a forwards play rather than back line, but they did manage sort of in the last 10 minutes of the second half to strike a nice little balance between the two. Siya Masuku was in top form as well. I mean, he posted I think he made every single kick that he went in. I think Jordan Hendrikse was a bit, it was more of a 70% success rate, between 70 and 80% success rate over there. Missed a few kicks, especially like a really long kick. He had the distance. It just didn't have the aim, unfortunately. I think it was about a 65 to 70 meter kick. I'm not quite sure exactly of the lengths, but it was from within the Sharks' half to take the penalty goal. Unfortunately, like I said, the direction wasn't there, but the distance definitely was. So it's something definitely to look out for any kind of future games that anybody might face off against a Springbok side that includes Jordan Hendrikse. But yeah, that definitely sort of a positive mark there. And let me know, if you did manage to catch the game and the fight. Let me know in the comments field what you thought about it. It was absolutely energetic. It was a brilliant game. I'm hoping to see more of that as we're going further with the playoffs now. Within the next, I think it was next 6 weeks that this is going to be the series playoffs for determining the top 8 that will be going into the quarter to semi-finals of the URC coming up, and we'll all be holding thumbs. Bulls is sort of right up there, up ahead. The Sharks, sort of biting close on their heels, I think. Lions, but I will be talking about them a bit later. And also, talking about the Stormers level within the URC table at the moment. They still within it. I believe I think they're on 8th spot at the moment. But the playoffs has just started. This is going to be 6 weeks of the most grueling URC to come, and I hope the guys are ready for it. Lions is going to need a lot more work, but I will talk about it within their section or segment. Bulls is sitting pretty kind of comfortably in third place at the moment, with Sharks, like I said, gnawing close on their heels in fourth spot. So, but let me know your thoughts on the Sharks match this weekend. Looking forward to the next one. Okay, so now we get to the Stormers versus Connacht, and yeah, that was kind of a hard-fought match. And although I did not expect this kind of performance from the Stormers, they were absolutely brilliant. It was just wow. Connacht was a very strong team. We know this. We've seen it from the very beginning of the URC. They obviously started off, kind of hiccuping and all of that, not really doing very well. But they have fought themselves back up on the table, on the log, quite convincingly. And of course, they had a hard-fought match last week against Racing 92, although it wasn't enough to secure the win, even though Racing 92 was down one man. But they fought hard. I mean, you could see it. I mean, it meant a lot to them. And especially now it means even more, because this is the hard-fought match, the beginning of the six-week playoffs that's going to basically determine who secures the top 8 positions for the quarter finals leading up to the finals. And the Stormers performed admirably within the first half. Sasha Famba-Kumazulu doing his very best to impress everybody, scoring a hat-trick tries within the first half. Brilliant show and performance by him. I think his future basically is secure within the Springboks. I think he has already received his call-up. So he'll be joining the Springbok camp for the July tours, starting off with Italy, funny enough. And we've seen Benetton being really tough. So definitely the Italians is going to be a hard challenge for the Springboks this coming July. But Sasha Famba-Kumazulu will be an absolute asset within that team. He hit every single conversion he did, with a hat-trick scoring for him as well, putting the Stormers comfortably ahead of Connacht. Not a massive margin, but did put them in quite comfortably ahead. Also, congratulations to Hudson Berg and Ivan Ruiz for their tries. Very hard fought for Ivan Ruiz, kind of for a massive pick and drive for him. And then kind of coming back from the cloakrooms within the second half, the Stormers kind of let their guard down. And the coaching staff did kind of, refer to that within the interviews, part of the game, sort of afterwards. Sasha Famba-Kumazulu obviously deserving the man of the match. Absolutely. I don't think anybody deserved it more than him. But the Stormers kind of let their guard down. And this is the point where you now, within the game, need to solidify your defenses. You comfortably ahead, so you keep your opponents in their half, because if they're not in your half, they can't score. You solidify your defenses, you keep the pressure on, you keep pushing. If you see the gaps, you obviously take it. You will always want to go for more tries, more penalty conversions. So you keep the pressure on, keep forcing those errors from the opponents. But yeah, it didn't quite work out that way. I mean, in the second half, the Connacht did spend a lot of time nearly on our try line, and there was a lot of desperate defensive moves that we had to do. Some of them a bit unsuccessful, but yeah, which kind of brought the Connacht players within, or the Connacht team, the Irish, into striking distance of the lead. They're obviously going away with a bonus point for them as well. There was only about a 4-point loss for them, which kind of is testament to how hard they fought and how nearly equally matched they are to the Stormers. And I want to also kind of just stay with this one topic for a bit. The Watercolor yellow card. And I want to just sort of pause here because I'm going to criticize the ref. And I know a lot of people are going to now think, oh, another suffer criticizing the ref. All they can do is complain about the ref. Whoever wrote the rule, where is this culture coming from that the ref is untouchable, that they suddenly cannot be criticized? If they do a wrong call, you see them doing something wrong, I am going to criticize them. I'm going to call them out about it, and I'm going to do so within the bull segment of this review, because seriously, this in 9 times out of 10 it doesn't really have a major impact on the game, but it is some calls, as we would see within this game, would potentially have major impact on the outcome of the game. Now, Redelinghuys did an honest contestation of a passed ball, which was a long pass overhead, high ball by the Connacht players. He did jump for it. There, in my opinion, was a realistic chance for him to actually catch it and make an interception. But unfortunately, he didn't. He fumbled the ball went forward from him, and he gets a yellow card, deliberate knockdown. Now, as we've seen in the past from many, many games, and we will see it again in the Bulls game, where a ball is knocked, in more of a sense of deliberateness, knocked forward by a player, not really trying to go for an interception. He commits into a tackle, but stops himself as the attacking player passes the ball to his teammate, and then he diverts. He tries to go for the ball, slaps it down, and now he gets a penalty. 9 times out of 10 they do get a yellow. Sometimes they do get a yellow card, sometimes they don't. The ref doesn't even bother with a yellow card. It's just a penalty. There we go from there. And so there is I have a problem with this, the lack of consistency within games, among refs. There's one rule book. The problem is that refs are given so much leeway to interpret the rules, and I mean that's fine. Interpretation should always be left up to the ref. About high degree of danger, about were there enough mitigation, to basically apply which would be a more justifiable punishment or penalty to be issued to the offending player. And sometimes I feel like in this case it's not really justifiable. He gets a yellow card, goes off for 10 minutes, he's off for the rest of the game, because this is the last, say, 5 minutes of the game, 5 to 3 minutes of the game. And now the Stormers is already, on the back foot. They are now completely defensive. They're one man down, and they're feeling it. Connacht is hitting hard. They're hitting relentlessly. They want this try. They're only 4 points behind, and they could do it. They could very well beat the Stormers on their home ground in Cape Town. And as it happens, they do score a try in the dying moments of the game. And this is where it comes out. The ref issues the on-field decision as a try. He goes for the conversion. They convert the ball, and only then is it brought to his attention there is a possible obstruction by Connacht. And he requests for the TMO. Holly Davidson obliges, shows him the footage, and there is clear, deliberate obstruction by a Connacht player onto Redelinghuys, blocking him from the tackle, and the try gets overturned. Now, this is a direct impact decision that could have seen. I mean, if he completely just ignored it, Still, maintain, okay, I didn't see it, no, it's fine, the decision has been made, the conversion is kicked, that's it, nobody's, no changes, whatever. The Stormers could have very well lost that game. So one always have to wonder, but give me your thoughts on that as well in the comments field below. Okay, so coming down to the Bulls game, and this was a very controversial one, if I've ever seen one completely. And I will be talking about this because I'll be criticizing the ref in this one as well, because it's just so weird, and I do understand Munster's gripe. Honestly, I do, because this was just the weirdest kind of incident that I've literally seen in my life. Ollie Jager, prop for Munster, basically gets sent off with a hand injury. Go for the HIA, fails it, doesn't come back on. Okay, soon after, his replacement prop, Stephen Archer, also suffers an injury. He gets sent off. So now Munster is down. They do not have enough guys on it, and PRD, referee PRD, denies Munster to send on a 15th player to cover for the deficit within the scrum. So for 14 minutes within the game, within the first half, Munster is playing without a prop. Okay, they're playing with only 7 men within the scrum. Referee PRD is not allowing a 15th player to make the field for them, so that they can maybe try and swap out some players, fill some positions there, so we can have a proper contesting scrum. And for 14 minutes, for the rest of the game, actually, they go with uncontested scrums, which is weird. So after the 14th minute, Alex Kendellen basically gets allowed to join them now. So they are full, a full team, 15 men, but still short one prop. And so the PRD is still running with, even though places have been shifted. Somebody has been basically popped into Ollie and Stefan's spot as a prop, but okay, generally, even though he's more of a utility player, he's not really a forward. So PRD still carries on with the uncontested scrums, which just it was just so weird. But also, even though the Bulls couldn't quite make or capitalize on the 14 minutes of playing against a one-man deficit team, the Munster feels that they were severely kind of impacted. The Bulls did push through. They did, eventually score quite not a massive victory. It was only a 16-13 victory, so there is a 3-point deficit there, or a 3-point lead for the Bulls. But again, wrong calls. Like I said, Goosen knocking, deliberately, quite openly with a deliberate knockdown, only gets a penalty. There was a issue with a Hanekom try, or was it a Cronje try, where Munster complained that he took a tap and go, and then scored a try off the tap and go. And Munster complained, but the tap was off his thigh. It wasn't off the foot, because as per the rule book, off a penalty or tap and go, you have to tap the ball with your foot. So no footage was given, no TMO was consulted. The try stood, and Bulls won 16-13. A kind of a bitter victory, I feel. It was a hard-fought match. Take nothing away from these guys. Munster fought tooth and nail for every single inch of a point that they had. The Bulls as well. They fought very hard. And this was a bit of an outcome, that they wanted. Jake White, I believe, is quite happy with the with the result there, but again, it kind of feels like it's not really deserved. And I wouldn't say PRD was, biased. It was just bad calls. Now, again, I would say that, referees are humans as well, so I do allow for a couple of bad calls within every match. But, it just, some of these calls were quite blatant, and it was just, no, it's just, no, kind of not really working for me. PRD is a professional referee. This is not the first rodeo he's had. He's reffed quite a few games in the past. And these guys should be held to account. Wales, retired referee, Nigel Owens, also kind of weighed in here. And he said basically that there is a further need for transparency among referees. And he agrees. I do agree. Referees are not untouchable. There should be a lot more accountability and transparency among and how World Rugby deals with referees. And it seems to have now kind of made an impact. And I don't know if Nigel's kind of weighing in had anything to do with it, but it does seem like PRD is out of the running for refereeing the next round within the playoffs. So how long that's going to go on? Are we going to see him featuring within a game within the URC again for the season? I don't know, but there seemed to be a kind of as conspicuous absence of PRD among the referee lists going forward within the next, say, 2 weeks on the URC. But we'll have to see how that plays out. So yeah, like I said, the parallel drawn between Goosen's deliberate knockdown and Warwick-Kalant's deliberate knockdown, one getting a yellow card, one just getting a penalty for being a more blatantly deliberate than Warwick-Kalant, where Goosen goes in for the tackle, like I described. He commits to the tackle, stops himself as he sees the attacking player passing the ball, and then diverts, his hand to the ball, slapping it down, where there is almost no realistic sense that he would have actually caught it, that he would have made an interception. So yeah, I would feel more than that is more deserving of a yellow card than, say, Warwick-Kalant. Jumping for the ball, having a way better chance of actually catching the ball than Goosen did, and getting a yellow card for that. So definitely, I do agree with this. Fans also need to kind of, realize referees are not untouchable. They're human beings. Yes, they make mistakes, and sure, we shouldn't, obviously, punish them too hard, because otherwise nobody will want to ref a rugby game again. But they do need to be held accountable for their erroneous calls, because they go through, obviously, a lot of tests. They go through a vetting process, and their knowledge gets tested upon, being cleared for, refereeing a professional or international game. And the fact that these referees could make these kind of mistakes, just not on this level, you don't expect it. There needs to be a level of professionalism among referees as well. And there needs to be transparency, because, the fans and everybody in World Rugby can't be held in the dark perpetually on this kind of issue. Which basically sparks Rassie's video to Nick Berry way back when, with the British and Irish Lions tour of South Africa. But yeah, coming back to this game, sort of a penalty goal-ridden game. 2 tries each, I believe, which kind of did put the Bulls ahead with 3 points over the Munster players. And going forward from here, we'll have to see what Munster does, because unfortunately we cannot reverse the outcome of this. of this game, and this is going to count against them. But I do believe they are pretty secure, although not massively. They are sitting on 7th spot. But let me know your thoughts in the comments field. What do you think of that? And do you also agree with Nigel Owens and myself? Okay, and now, inevitably, we come to the game. Lions versus Benetton. I think this was a clear message from the Italians to the Springboks that they're not going to be a pushover coming, in July, starting off the Springbok tour for this year, international tour. The Lions, I'm not sure if they have now suddenly decided, okay, well, they're not quite, the future within the URC playoffs is uncertain. Do they still have a shot? Yeah, they do. They're going to have to win every single game on their home ground from now on. And Benetton seems to have quite comfortably done the job between them on their home ground at the Emirates Park within Johannesburg. The Lions lost to Benetton 42-31, so quite a comfortable lead. And it's sad. I mean, I don't know if the Lions kind of is giving up. I'm not sure. I hope not. They might be thinking, okay, well, URC chances, precariously in the balance. EPCR chances, maybe there's something more there, so we'll more focus on the EPCR challenge and then kind of shelve the URC for another season. There is a quite an interesting interview though with Julian Redelinghuys and Morne van der Berg when they're talking about the future within the URC and obviously things that they feel they need to focus on. Morne van der Berg feels that he have identified a few, spots that they can focus on, and they have been, this week for their next challenge coming up this weekend. And he feels that they have identified the weak spots, and they will be working on it. So maybe they are quite positive for the road ahead, but we'll have to see what happens. I mean, Brix and Menoncelo, the partnership within the midfield was absolutely brilliant. It's like they had a kind of a telepathic link, like an old married couple. They just knew, they kind of finished each other's sentences, finished each other's attack moves. It was just absolutely brilliant. And with three players within the sin bin from the Italian side within the second half, right on top of each other, and still the Lions couldn't quite, capitalize on that, only scoring about 2 tries in the second half. 2 tries in the first half, 2 tries in the second half. Benetton scoring 5 tries overall throughout the game, securing their bonus points. Sure, this is a bonus point loss for the Lions, which probably saved them in this stage of the playoffs, but they're going to have to work a lot harder if they're going to stay within the relevant within the season. Remember, only the top 8 can go through to the final laps on the final leg of the URC, and they really need to work hard if we want to see 4 South African teams within the top 8 for the quarterfinals starting off. The Lions will need to work extra hard. Not just them, the Stormers as well. The Stormers is going to have to win every single game that they play now on their local fields if they're going to make the top 8. Same with the Lions. Bulls and Sharks, they're sitting pretty. The 3rd and 4th spots, they sitting pretty. They really don't need to worry about the their spots. They just need to worry about the semi and the finals. But I want to also kind of bring back, and I will link the link in the description below for this interview done with Julian and Morne. Julian Redelinghuys kind of said something that has got me bothered for the Lions, and he said, like, it's not the duty of the coaching staff to motivate the players. They will need to find their own motivation. No, it's a good leader that motivates their staff or their followers, their team. It's a good leader that can motivate, that can inspire. Yeah, sure, you need to make sure that the players are prepped for the weekend's game. Definitely, that is your paramount duty. But it is also your duty to make sure that they're mentally in tip-top shape, that they are motivated, that their morale is high, because in every case within sport, morale is key to performance. If your morale is low, you're going to perform badly. If your morale is high, you're going to really. If you're highly motivated, it's going to show in your performance on the field, on the day when it really makes a difference. So that is definitely a crux point. It is a valid point, or a valid kind of point that I think Julian and them kind of need to look at. And they need to change their philosophy, over there a bit, because that is just, it's troublesome. It's worrying to hear coaching staff talk like that. We don't expect that from our coaching staff. The best coaches are always the best motivators, the best, but also kind of disaster struck the Lions, even further. That might impact their morale, that might impact their motivation as well, going further in URC, and that's Frankie Horn. Limped off the field with a knee injury, himself saying that he heard something snap, and that is very worrisome. So for the preliminary prognosis is he's going to be out for the rest of the URC, and possibly not going to make it for his Springbok call-up. Unfortunately, that is sad, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. But all in all, I think the Lions really need to take a long hard look at their performance. They played well, and don't get me wrong, they played well in this last game, but they just couldn't break through Benetton, even though Benetton had 3 players within the sin bin. Boom, boom, boom. Right after each other. And even with that deficit, with that handicap, the Lions couldn't capitalize. Now that is quite worrisome, and that's something that they really need to look at. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comments fields, and let's share a bit of conversation on that one. And now, inevitably, we come to the end again of another edition of NB Rugby. Thank you very much, guys, for joining me in this reviews of the games. And we're looking forward to the upcoming games for the URC this weekend. It's going to be exciting again. The standing so far, basically on the URC lot, is Leinster, crowning jewels at number 1. The Titans of the URC, they are followed by the defending champions, Glasgow Warriors, and at a tight number 2. And it is really tight. If I'm looking at the scoreboard here, total points are 67 for Leinster, 58 for Glasgow. So a tight difference there between the two. Bulls is basically trailing the Glasgow Warriors by 54 points in 3rd place. Then it's basically Sharks at 4th, Benetton at 5th at 41 points. Cardiff is sliding in comfortably in 6th place with 41 points, and they will be facing off against their follow-up, the Munster players at number 7 with 40 points. They're facing off this weekend. So, you know, who knows what will happen. Maybe Munster might slide into Cardiff's spot there. But that remains to be seen. Stormers is now sitting precariously at number 8. They're followed by the Scarlets at number 9, Ulster at number 10, Edinburgh at number 11. So we can see why they were so uptight with the Sharks last weekend. The frustration was palpable. I can understand why, you know, that boiled over into a bit of physical altercations. Connacht at number 12. Ospreys at number 13, Lions at number 14. So they really need to, if they're going to have a relevant spots within the top 8, they're really going to have to work hard. Like I said, seriously review their position now. And then Zebra and Dragons following close behind there at number 15 and 16 spot. Dragons only have 9 points, unfortunately. Yeah, not been a good season for them. Having only 1 win in this entire season and then 14 losses. No draws whatsoever for them. It's actually been just only a few draws within this season. 1 for Benetton, 1 for Cardiff, it looks like, 1 for Scarlets, and then 1 for Ospreys. Yeah, so that's basically it for that one. The fixtures coming up for the URC this next weekend. I think on Friday that'll be Glasgow against Bulls, Cardiff against Munster, and then Zebra facing off against Edinburgh. That's going to be a hard fought for Zebra. Edinburgh is in top form, really. Not been doing well, especially against the Bulls, against the Sharks. They lost against us. So yeah, but Zebra hasn't been really having a very good season now. So I think this might be a very easy win for Edinburgh, if I'm honest. Then coming up on Saturday for the URC Challenge, we have the Lions against Connacht, and that's going to be a hard game. Lions, you really will need to pull up your socks. Connacht is going to come in all guns blazing. They haven't had a very good 2 weeks as well. So they're going to definitely want to make an impact here. They're really going to want to make a comeback. Ospreys against Dragons, Scarlets against Leinster, and I'm feeling, as I'm saying it, my heart's bleeding for Scarlets. This is not the kind of opponent you want to face so early on in the playoffs. Stormers against Benetton, this is going to be tough. Stormers, you're going to have to bring your A game. Benetton, like we saw now against Lions, they're in top form. They're not going to lay down for us. We're going to need to start working on our little tactics there. We pay a bit more attention on the defensive side. If we do manage to actually get a bit of a lead going, we're going to need to try and secure that lead early on. And then also going up against Sharks on Saturday as well for round 16 of the URC. Then of course we are going full steam ahead for next week. I might take a bit of a break in the next week or so, but I will be hoping, sort of touching on the round 16 reviews in the follow-up on that one. I'm going to see some family that I haven't seen in a long time. I'm on holiday here from New Zealand. Looking forward to seeing them as well. And yeah, I'll be seeing you guys in the next week's review. And thank you very much for joining me. As I've already said, take care of yourselves, guys, and your loved ones. Peace out.